Hip-hop mogul Russell Simmons calling for a ban on 3 racial and sexual epithets in rap and other forms of music. Simmons says those bad words shouldn't be used over the airwaves. This comes just 2 weeks after radio talk show host Don Imus was fired over racist and sexist comments he made. A few weeks ago, Simmons said artists shouldn't be censored, and by golly, things are changing. I'm joined now by 3 of the country's top radio talk show hosts. From Chicago, Steve Cochran of WGN. Steve, good to have you here. From Los Angeles, Doug McIntyre, KABC. Doug.
Hello.
And joining me here in New York, Mark Riley, Air America.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Mark, thanks for being here. Let me start with you, Steve, out there in Chicago. Are you comforted by Russell Simmons' conversion?
Well, as you know, I'm too a hip-hop mogul, and on WGN we play a lot of Mace and a lot of P. Diddy. You know, it's a step in the right direction, but I'll tell you, the Reverend Jackson and the Reverend Sharpton are awfully quiet now. They had a wonderful sense of momentum for this cause that they've chosen to chase. And if you got Imus, fellas, you really need to go out and, if you believe it, if you truly believe it, go after the corporations that allow the music to be played and profit from it. I don't agree with it because I think it affects all of us in what we do. But Sharpton and Jackson need to prove they're not hypocrites about this and continue to chase the story.
Wait, hold up, because Jesse Jackson's been talking about this for the better part of 15 years. Jesse Jackson has led marches against this very same language. But people need to understand, Russell Simmons has made a great deal of money in the hip-hop industry, number one. Number two, part of the reason why this is happening now has nothing whatsoever to do with Don Imus. It has to do with the fact that rap lost 20% worth of sales last year against 5% for the overall industry, and there was not a single hip-hop album in the top 10 best-selling albums in America last year. That's what's driving this.
I was going to ask. And so I'll ask you, Doug. My guess is that hip-hop, rap has been taking a pretty big nosedive since the Imus affair.
Well, Lou, I think you and I could kill it off. You see, this has always been my theory that if guys like you and I, middle-aged white guys, would just embrace it, the rap artists would put a gun in their mouth and kill themselves.
Doug, I think that's an absolutely brilliant idea.
You know.
I tried that actually with one of my daughters, but I'd have to tell you, it didn't work at all.
This is what's changing, though. The business is now starting to realize that people who listen to the music are having a problem with it. Up until now, it's always been people who they could say, well, you don't listen to this music, you don't buy this music, you're not part of our constituency. Now their constituency is starting to speak out, and that's what's moving not just Russell Simmons, but a group of radio executives to meet in private here in New York and try and deal with this.
Yeah, however,
and that's great.
I think
if
that
that's
there's
the outcome,
something
that's
really
great news.
I think there's something really chilling, though, about it. We're in the golden age of people wanting to ban things. People want constitutional amendments against flag burning. People want to ban incandescent light bulbs. Now we want to fire Don Imus because you didn't like his joke. I mean, you know, why ban Imus's joke and not Chris Rock's joke? I mean,
because Chris Rock doesn't do that on his television
crimes.
show. Chris Rock does not do that kind of language on his television show. He does it in a stand-up routine. Don Imus works in a medium that is regulated by the Federal Communications Commission.
Yeah,
that's
I
why.
understand. I'm just saying that we're now criminalizing intent, and
it's
we're
not criminalizing anything. Don
Imus
was not convicted of a crime. You can't say that's criminalizing anything.
He was just publicly executed.
He was publicly executed.
He was absolutely
with the threat of the government.
He was publicly executed because his sponsors pulled out. He was only suspended for 2 weeks, and then when the sponsors pulled out, they fired him. Let's not get that twisted here.
Well, let's not twist this. Don Imus has been doing what he's been doing on CBS and on his radio station
NBC before
for 20-some-odd years. And suddenly this is a big deal. The fact is, it is a big deal. It's a question of proportion and appropriate response to his mistake.
It's commerce. It's a matter of commerce. It's a matter of money.
Let's move on to another issue, if I may, gentlemen. Steve Cochran, Dennis Kucinich wants to Dennis Kucinich wants to impeach the Vice President of the United States.
Here's the deal. The fact that Dennis Kucinich has stepped up and said, I'm going to at least try to put some action behind my words does mean something. It's not going to go anywhere. Dick Cheney, I know, has offered to take him on a hunting trip. Maybe they can work it out. But in the meantime, In the meantime, Kucinich gets credit from me and from my audience because he at least is saying we're going to take the next step as opposed to finger-pointing and name-calling. People are tired of it.
I agree with Steve 100% on that. And I asked my audience some time ago, why don't more progressive people take Dennis Kucinich seriously as a presidential candidate? And you know what? Very few people could come up with any kind of a credible answer.
Doug McIntyre, Gavin Newsom, up north of you in that other big California city, he wants to make, he's a sanctuary-loving son of a gun, isn't he?
Well, you know, you got to put that into context, Lou. Gavin Newsom's in kind of a fight in California with Antonio Villaraigosa for who gets to be the next governor of California after Arnold leaves the stage. And they don't have as large a Hispanic population, an illegal immigrant population in Northern California. So this is really kind of almost a cost-free issue for him. Plus, apparently, you know, San Francisco has decided that it doesn't matter what Gavin Newsom does, including sleep with his campaign manager's wife, and he's still going to be popular. So it's really, you have to put it into context of California politics. Newsom is positioning himself for a challenge from Villaraigosa, who has large Hispanic support in the South.
It ought to be a fascinating race, and Doug McIntyre, as always, thank you for being with us. Steve
Thanks,
Cochran,
Lou.
thank you very much. Mark
Thanks,
Riley here
Lou.
in New York.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.